financial crisis. Neil Barofsky is no stranger to bank bailouts. His job was to oversee TARP, the public $700 billion used to stem the financial crisis, not the $1.2 trillion used privately to stem the financial crisis. Neil Barofsky with us via Skype this morning. So, Neil, you've had a chance to take a look at our work and have a look at these numbers, $1.2 trillion in total. You've seen the breakdown per institution. Was the Fed right, Neil, in your opinion? Were these numbers too dangerous that they would have put the financial system at risk had we learned about them at the time?
I think at the precise time there is a danger that, especially when you're talking about the discount window and these emergency facilities, at that precise moment, there could be a potential danger there. But the Fed's position, of course, wasn't let's not release it at the moment. It was let's not release it ever. And I think that once time and time again through this crisis, this opacity, this resistance to transparency has been, and the fear that is associated with it has been proven wrong once and time again. And I think that, ultimately, it's really important that these numbers get out there. And I really commend that John Bloomberg did of getting these bank-specific numbers out there.
Neil, TARP was a creature of Congress with an overseer. That person was you. These loans, however, were made beyond the oversight of anybody, and it dwarfed together, these programs dwarfed TARP in terms of their size. Does that, in your mind, argue for some kind of independent oversight for the Fed? We've heard some members in Congress, people whom I suspect you don't always agree with, people like Ron Paul, arguing for those kinds of things.
Well, Eric, it's actually, you don't hear much about it, but there is an inspector general for the Federal Reserve. It is an office that exists. It's staffed. It's paid for. But we don't see the type of oversight you'd like to see out of that body, which is why you have, the Congress trying to get GAO to do more work to audit the Fed. But this is an area that needs more oversight. Trillions and trillions of dollars, and there's no reason why it shouldn't have gotten the exact same type of attention that we applied to the TARP program.
Should this Inspector General publish a report akin to the reports that you published while you were the SIG TARP?
I don't think there can be too much transparency when it comes to these decisions, because ultimately there's some good sides to these decisions that help prevent a global financial catastrophe. But this really does increase moral hazard. It tells the banks and financial institutions that, hey, if you get into trouble, the Federal Reserve is going to be there to help you, and with these very, very creative programs, no matter how deep the crisis is. And it's important for there to be accountability as well as transparency.
Neil, what do you make of the fact that almost half of the biggest borrowers on this list, in terms of the peak amounts that they had borrowed from the Fed, were European banks, Royal Bank of Scotland, UBS, Dexia, Hypo Real Estate, for example, the German real estate bank?
It's not terrible. Look, it's not terribly surprising. We're in a complete, it sounds like a cliche, but it really is a global economy. And when the wheels were falling off the bus in 2008, it wasn't as if they could just provide liquidity to the United States banks and help avert this global crisis. And remember, some of these programs and some of the programs that existed are still going. The foreign central bank exchange swaps are still alive and well and are still available, and that's money that's going to be supporting foreign institutions, and that's just the nature of the world. As long as the U.S. dollar is the reserve currency, with all the benefits that come from that, it also comes with some obligations, and bringing that type of global liquidity is obviously one of the things that the Federal Reserve deems as one of its responsibilities.
Neil, good to see you this morning. Neil Barofsky is the former special inspector for TARP. And also a Bloomberg contributing editor. I neglected to mention that earlier. Coming to us from Massachusetts via Skype on his vacation.